Gigi here, and this is Let's Build. If this is your first time, I build a Lego set timed to different media and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the Lego Disney 101 Dalmatians puppy versus 101 Dalmatians 2 Patch's London Adventure. All footage I am using is for science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. I apologize in advance for pronouncing any names and/or places incorrectly. And you'll have to forgive my voice. This is week 9 of braces. Spoilers ahead. You have been warned. Specifications of the Lego set. Embrace your love of puppies with this 101 Dalmatians puppy Lego Disney building set. Celebrate a classic Disney hit and customize your puppy to create your own unique Lego Dalmatian, then pose it in your home or office. You could create Patch, Penny, Rolly, Pepper, Lucky, or Freckles, and or any other pup you might like or envision. Indulge yourself with a buildable set that uses advanced building techniques and fosters creative joy as you click the last piece into place. As you build, immerse yourself in an intuitive experience with the Lego Builder app. You can zoom in and rotate the model in 3D, track progress, and save sets all in one place. Lego Disney characters. Pose Patch, Penny, or whichever Lego Dalmatian puppy you create by turning their head, raising their tail, and deciding whether you want them to stand, sit up, or lie down. Display your chosen Lego Disney puppy wherever you want a playful splash of spots or a humorous character in a variety of poses. A nostalgic Disney gift-giving experience. This Lego Disney building set for adults is a cute gift-giving idea for you or any fan of the puppies from the classic 101 Dalmatians Disney hit. Character dimensions. This 1,722-piece buildable Lego Disney set for adults features a Dalmatian puppy character that stands over 8.5 inches high when leaning forward. The building instructions go right into building options without any further fanfare. And don't worry, the furry hoodie I have on is acrylic or faux fur. The Dalmatian is a breed of dog with a white coat marked with dark colored spots. Originally bred as a hunting dog, it was also used as a carriage dog by firefighters in the days of horse-drawn firehouse carriages. The origins of this breed can be traced to Croatia and the historical region of Dalmatia. It is thought that early ancestors of the breed were certain breeds of pointers and a spotted Great Dane. The modern breed has become a popular companion dog commonly entered by Dalmatian enthusiasts into kennel club competitions. Characteristics. The Dalmatian is a muscular dog with excellent endurance and stamina. When fully grown, according to the American Kennel Club or AKC breed standard, it stands from 19 to 23 inches tall. Dalmatian puppies are born with plain white coats, and their first spots usually appear within 10 days. However, spots may be visible on their skin from birth. They continue to develop until the dog is around 18 months old. Spots usually range in size from 2 to 6 centimeters and are most commonly black or liver, which is brown, on a white background. Liver is the recessive color in Dalmatians, meaning that both parents have to carry the liver gene to produce this color of pups. If both parents are liver colored, then all puppies will be liver spotted. Black spotted dogs usually have black noses, and liver spotted dogs usually have brown noses. Other colors that occur occasionally include a bluish gray color, brindle, mosaic, orange or lemon, dark to pale yellow, or tricolored, with black, brown, and orange or lemon spots. Orange and lemon color occur most frequently, especially in America, and are the dilutes of the standard color. Another colorization pattern is a larger solid patch of color, which appears anywhere on the body, but most often on the head, ears, or tail. Patches are visible at birth and are not a group of connected spots. They are identifiable by the smooth edge of the patch, and they have no interlacing white hairs in them. Pure white individuals without spots also occur occasionally. The Dalmatian coat is usually short, fine, and dense. However, smooth coated Dalmatians occasionally produce long coated offspring. Long coated Dalmatians are not accepted by the breed standard, but these individuals experience much less shedding than their smooth coated counterparts, which shed considerably year round. The standard variety's short, stiff hairs often weave into carpet, clothing, upholstery, and nearly any other kind of fabric, and can be very difficult to remove. Weekly grooming with a hound mitt or curry comb can lessen the amount of hair with Dalmatians shed, although nothing can completely prevent shedding. Due to the minimal amount of oil in their coats, Dalmatians lack the dog odor and stay fairly clean relative to many other dog breeds. Dalmatians usually have litters of 6 to 9 pups. History: the Fédération Cynologique Internationale, the FCI, recognized Croatia as its country of origin, citing several historical sources. The first known written reference to a Dalmatian dog is from 1375, when Peter, Bishop of Dukovo, mentions a hunting dog principally found in Dalmatia, with short white hair and black round spots in various parts of the body, naming the breed Canis dalmaticus. The earliest illustrations of the breed have been found in Croatia. An altar painting in Velilosinj, dated from 16 to 1630, and a fresco in Zaostrom. The first definitive documented descriptions of the Dalmatian trace back to the early 18th century and the archives of the Archdiocese of Dukovo, where the dog was mentioned and described as Canis dalmaticus in the church chronicles from 1719 by Bishop Peter Bakic, and then again by church chronicles of Andreas Ketchkameti in 1739. In 1771, Thomas Pennant described the breed in his book Synopsis of Quadrupeds, writing that the origin of the breed is from Dalmatia, and he referred to it as Dalmatian. The book by Thomas Bewick, A General History of Quadrupeds, published in 1790, refers to the breed as Dalmatian or coach dog. During the Regency period, the Dalmatian became a status symbol, and those with decorative spotting were highly prized. The breed was also used to guard the stables at night. The breed had been developed and cultivated chiefly in England. The first unofficial standard for the breed was introduced by Englishman Vero Shaw in 1882. In 1890, with the formation of the first Dalmatian Club in England, the standard became official. When the dog with the distinctive markings was first shown in England in 1862, it was said to have been used as a guard dog and companion to the nomads of Dalmatia. The breed's unique coat became popular and widely distributed over the continent of Europe beginning in 1920. Its unusual markings were often mentioned by the old writers on cynology. Duties: the roles of this breed are as varied as their reputed ancestors. They were used as hunting dogs and dogs of war, guarding the borders of Dalmatia. To this day, the breed retains a high guarding instinct. Although friendly and loyal to those the dog knows and trusts, it is often aloof with strangers and unknown dogs. Dalmatians have a strong hunting instinct and are excellent exterminators of rats and vermin. In sporting, they have been used as bird dogs, trail hounds, retrievers, or in packs for wild boar or stag hunting. Dalmatians are known for working for firefighters for their role as firefighting apparatus escorts and firehouse mascots. Since Dalmatians and horses are very compatible, The dogs were easily trained to run in front of the carriages to help clear a path and quickly guide the horses and firefighters to the fire. Dalmatians would also alert the drivers of any upcoming dangers during carriage rides. 101 Dalmatians. The Dalmatian breed experienced a massive surge in popularity as a result of the 1956 novel The 101 Dalmatians, written by British author Dodie Smith, and later due to two Walt Disney films based on the book. The Disney animated film, released in 1961, later spawned a 1996 live action remake, 101 Dalmatians, which also received a sequel, 102 Dalmatians, in 2000. In 2003, Disney released 101 Dalmatians 2 Patch's London Adventure, the official sequel to the original 1961 film. After the wave of popularity stemming from those films, Dalmatians were abandoned in large numbers by their original owners and left with animal shelters. As a result, Dalmatian rescue organizations sprang up to care for the unwanted dogs and find them new homes. AKC registrations of Dalmatians decreased during the 2000 to 2010 period. This is most likely due to the fact that shelters are required to spay or neuter animals to be rehomed, and breeds that are considered altered, that goes against breed standards, are not permitted to be registered. 101 Dalmatians is a 1961 American animated adventure comedy film produced by Walt Disney Productions with distribution by Buena Vista Distribution. Adapted from Dodie Smith's 1956 novel, The 101 Dalmatians, the film was directed by Hamilton Luske, Clyde Geronimi, and Wolfgang Reitherman in his feature-length directorial debut from a script by Bill Peet. It featured the voice talents of Rod Taylor, J. Pat O'Malley, Betty Lou Gerson, Martha Wentworth, Ben Wright, Kate Bauer, Dave Frankham, and Fred Warlock. The film's plot follows Pongo and Perdita, two London-based Dalmatians who gave birth to a litter of 15 puppies, who are later kidnapped by the obsessive socialite Cruella de Vil, wanting to make their fur into coats. Pongo and Perdita set out on a cross-country rescue mission to save their litter from the maniacal Cruella. They rescue 84 additional Dalmatians in the process, bringing the total to 101. 101 Dalmatians was released in theaters January 25, 1961, to positive reviews from critics and was a box office success, grossing $14 million domestically in its original theatrical run. It became the first animated feature film to earn over $10 million during its initial release, and became the eighth highest-grossing film of the year in the North American box office, and the highest-grossing animated film when reissues of film were not counted. Aside from its box office revenue, the employment of inexpensive animation techniques, such as using xerography, during the process of inking and painting traditional animation cells, kept production costs down. Counting reissues, the film grossed $303 million worldwide, and when adjusted for inflation, is the 12th highest-grossing film in the North American box office and the second highest-grossing animated film globally, as well as being the fifth highest-selling animated film since 1959 at an estimate of over 199,800,000 sold tickets. The success of the film made Disney expand it to a media franchise, with a live-action remake released in 1996, followed by a sequel in 2000. A direct-to-video animated sequel to the 1961 film 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure, was released in 2003. The two animated television series based on the franchise were also produced, with 101 Dalmatians the series in 1997 and 101 Dalmatian Street in 2019. A live-action reboot, Cruella, was released in 2021. Plot: In 1950s London, aspiring songwriter Roger Radcliffe lives in a bachelor flat with his pet Dalmatian, Pongo. Deciding both of them need a mate, Pongo watches women and their dogs in the street. Noticing a young woman named Anita and her Dalmatian Perdita, he drags Roger to a park to arrange a meeting. Despite a tumultuous first encounter, Roger and Anita fall in love and soon marry, with Pongo and Perdita attending. The Radcliffes hire a nanny and move into a small townhouse near Regent's Park. Perdita becomes pregnant with a litter of 15 puppies. Shortly afterward, Anita's entitled, fur-obsessed former schoolmate, Cruella de Vil, visits the Radcliffes and expresses a keen interest in the puppies. Perdita confides to Pongo that she is suspicious of Cruella's motives. When the puppies arrive, Cruella returns and offers to buy them for a large sum. Roger stands up to her and announces firmly that the pups are not for sale. Enraged, Cruella swears revenge. Several weeks later, Cruella makes good on her threat by secretly hiring Jasper and Horace Baden, two burglar brothers, to steal the puppies. The police are unable to find the puppies or prove Cruella was involved, so Pongo and Perdita utilize a nationwide canine gossip line, the Twilight Bark, to solicit help from all the English dogs. In Suffolk, Pongo and Perdita's message reaches the Colonel, an old English sheepdog on the farm of a retired cavalry officer. After the barn cat Sergeant Tibbs hears puppies barking at a nearby DeVille estate, he and the colonel investigate. They find the Baden brothers guarding the 15 stolen puppies, as well as 84 more Dalmatians bought and paid for in shops. The colonel sends word back to London, and Pongo and Perdita travel to Suffolk as fast as they can. Learning that Cruella intends to make dogskin fur coats from her captives, Tibbs hastily tries to evacuate the puppies. The Baden intervene, but Pongo and Perdita arrive and hold them off while Tibbs and the colonel get the puppies to the farm. After hearing of Cruella's schemes, Pongo and Perdita decide to adopt the other 84 puppies to protect them. The Dalmatians start their homeward trek, pursued by Cruella and the Badens. They eventually make their way to Dinsford, where they meet a black Labrador who offers them a ride in a moving van bound for London. Cruella and the Badens arrive, so Pongo and his whole family roll in a sooty fireplace to disguise themselves as other Labradors. As they board the van, their cover is blown at the last minute when melting snow washes off some of the soot. Furious at having been tricked, Cruella pursues the van in her car and tries to ram it off the road. The Badens also attempt a similar maneuver, but their lorry collides with Cruella's car and both vehicles crash into a ditch. Cruella berates the Badens and sobs with fury as the van drives away. In London, a miserable nanny and the Radcliffes try to enjoy Christmas. It is revealed that they have acquired huge wealth from a song that Roger had written about Cruella, which has become a big radio hit, but they are missing their canine companions too much to enjoy this. The Dalmatians suddenly flood the house, reuniting with their owners. Upon counting the massive family of dogs, Roger suggests that they use his songwriting royalties to buy a big house in the country, so that they can keep all 101 Dalmatians. Production. The children's novel The 101 Dalmatians by Dodie Smith had been published on November 19, 1956, to an immediate success. By February of 1957, screenwriter Charles Brackett brought it to the attention of Walt Disney, who acquired the film rights to the novel on November 26th of that year, after lengthy negotiations, for $25,000. The project was set to be Disney's next animated feature after Sleeping Beauty, which was still in production at the time, and was originally expected to be finished within 2 years. Story artist Bill Peet was assigned to single-handedly develop the story, marking the first time a Disney animated film was written by one person. Disney also tasked Pete to write a detailed screenplay first before storyboarding. Since Pete never learned to use a typewriter, he wrote the initial draft by hand on legal paper. The manuscript was completed and typed up within 2 months, after which, having received Disney's approval, Pete began storyboarding and was charged with recording the voiceover process. This was the first time that a complete screenplay was approved for a Disney feature animated film before storyboarding even began, and it was a short lived experiment, and that particular approach would not be used again at Disney Animation until The Great Mouse Detective from 1986. Pete closely followed the plot of Smith's novel, but condensed some of its characters, which included Cruella's husband and cat, as well as Cadpig, the female runt of Pongo and Mrs. Puppies, whose traits were transferred to Lucky in the final film. He also merged two Dalmatian mothers, birth mother Mrs. and adopted mother Perdita, into one, naming her after the latter. Likewise, Nanny Cook and Nanny Butler from the novel were amalgamated into one character, simply named Nanny. The Colonel's cat assistant was regendered from the female Pussy Willow into the male Sergeant Tibbs, and Horace Batten was renamed from Saul. Among other things, Pete retained a scene from the original book in which Pongo and Perdita exchanged wedding vows in unison with their owners, who were also renamed from Mr. and Mrs. Dearly to Roger and Anita Radcliffe. However, after the censor board warned that it might offend certain religious audiences if the animals repeated the exact words of a solemn religious ceremony, it was reworked to be less religious, down to having Roger and Anita dressed in formal clothes. Originally, the film ended with the newly rich Roger selling his song about Cruella and buying the Hell Hall to turn it into a Dalmatian plantation, with Pongo and Perdita expecting another litter of puppies. It was ultimately cut short and rewritten to have Dalmatians reunite with their owners after they escaped from Cruella. Although Disney had not been as involved in the production of the animated films as frequently as in previous years, he was also present at story meetings. When Pete sent Dodie Smith some drawings of the characters, she wrote back saying that he had improved her story and that the designs looked better than the illustrations in the book. Casting: the filmmakers deliberately cast actors with deeper voices for the roles of the dogs, so that they would have more power than those of the human characters. Rod Taylor, who had extensive radio experience, was one of the first actors cast in the film. He got the role of Pongo. Lisa Daniels was originally cast as Perdita and recorded about a third of her lines, but then got married and moved to New York. Kate Bauer replaced her for the rest of the film. J. Pat O'Malley, who was a regular voice actor for the studio and one of Disney's personal favorites, got the roles of Jasper and Colonel, and also voiced several minor characters in the film. David Frankham was cast as Sergeant Tibbs in the spring of 1959 and finished his recording within 3 sessions from May of 1959 to January of 1960. He also asked to record the part of Scotty, the Skye Terrier who appears early in the Twilight Bark sequence. Disney originally had Lisa Davis read for the role of Cruella de Vil, but she did not think that she was right for the part, and wanted to try reading for the role of Anita instead. Disney agreed, and after they read the script for a second time, she landed the part. Davis also provided live-action reference for the character. Betty Lou Garrison, who was previously the narrator for Cinderella, auditioned for the role of Cruella de Vil in front of Mark Davis, the character's supervising animator, and sequence director Wolfgang Reitherman, and immediately landed it. While searching for the right accent of the character, she landed on a phony theatrical voice, someone who's set sail from New York but hasn't quite reached England. During the recording process, Garrison was thought to be imitating Tallulah Bankhead, but she later disputed that she did not initially imitate her. We both had phony English accents on top of our Southern accents and a great deal of flair. So our voices just came out that way. Gerson finished her recording sessions in 14 days. Animation. After Sleeping Beauty from 1959 disappointed at the box office, Disney was losing money and there were discussions about closing down the animation department. During the film's production, Disney told animator Eric Larson, "I don't think we can continue. It's too expensive." Despite this, he still had deep feelings toward animation because he had built the company upon it. Iwerks, in charge of special processes at the studio, had been experimenting with Xerox photography to aid in animation. By 1959, he used a Xerox camera to transfer drawings by animators directly to the animation cells, eliminating the inking process, thus saving time and money while preserving the spontaneity of the penciled elements. However, because of its limitations, the camera was unable to deviate from a black, sketchy outline and lacked the fine, lavish quality of hand inking. Disney would first use the Xerox process for a thorn forest in Sleeping Beauty, and the first production to make full use of the process was Goliath 2 from 1960. For 101 Dalmatians, one of the benefits of the process was that it was a great help toward animating the spotted dogs. According to Chuck Jones, Disney was able to complete the film for about half of what it would have cost if they had to animate all the dogs and the spots. Meanwhile, Ken Anderson, the studio's art director, learned a television production studio, Hurl Productions, was using xerography to produce television commercials featuring Disney characters. Inspired by the aesthetic, Anderson experimented with a Xerox copier to directly transfer the animator's drawing onto transparent cells, thereby eliminating the inking process. Anderson screened an animation test to Disney and the animators. Although Disney expressed concern at the graphic style, he gave his approval, stating, yeah, you can fool around if you want to." For the stylized art direction, Anderson took inspiration from British cartoonist Ronald Searle, who once advised him to use a Mont Blanc pen and India ink for his artwork. In addition to character animation, Anderson also sought the use of xerography on the background painting because I was going to apply the same technique to the whole picture. Along with color stylist Walt Paragoy, the two had the line drawings be printed on a separate animation cell before being laid over the background, which gave the appearance similar to Xeroxed animation. Disney disliked the artistic look of the film, and he felt he was losing the fantasy element of his animated films. In a meeting with the animation staff concerning future films, Disney angrily said, "We're never going to have one of those goddamn things." Referring to the film's art direction, he also stated, "Ken's never going to be an art director again." Anderson took this to heart, but Disney eventually forgave him on his final trip to the studio in late 1966. As Anderson recalled in an interview, he looked very sick. I said, "Gee, it's great to see you, Walt." And he said, "You know that thing you did on Dalmatians?" He didn't really say anything else, but he just gave me this look, and I knew that all was forgiven, and in his opinion, maybe what I did on Dalmatians wasn't so bad. That was the last time I ever saw him. Then, a few weeks later, I learned he was gone. Character animation. Mark Davis was the sole animator on Cruella de Vil. During production, Davis said her character was partly inspired by Bette Davis, no relation, Rosalind Russell, and Tallulah Bankhead. He took further influence from her voice actress Betty Lou Gerson, whose cheekbones he added to the character. He later complimented that her voice was the greatest thing I'd ever had a chance to work with. A voice like Betty Lou's gives you something to do. You get a performance going there, and if you don't take advantage of it, you're off your rocker. While her hair coloring originated from the illustrations in the novel, Davis found its disheveled style by looking through old magazines from hairdos from the 1940s until now. Her coat was exaggerated to match her oversized personality, and the lining was red because there's devil image involved. As with previous Disney films, the actors provided live action references as an aid to the animators before the animation process begun. By January 1959, Mary Wickes, who had played the maid Katie in Mickey Mouse Club serial Annette, was hired as a model for Cruella de Vil. The live action reference for Nanny was provided by both Don Barclay and Barbara Luddy, who had voiced Lady in Lady and the Tramp and Merryweather in Sleeping Beauty. Helene Stanley, who had been a model for the titular character in Cinderella, and Princess Aurora in Sleeping Beauty, performed the live action references for Anita. Music: 101 Dalmatians was the first Disney animated feature film to be non musical, to have music involved in the narrative. Pete used an old theater trick by which the protagonist is a down and out songwriter. However, unlike the previous animated Disney films at the time, the songs were not composed by a team, but by Mel Levin, who composed both lyrics and music. Previously, Levin had composed songs for the UPA Animation Studio, in which the animators, who transferred to work at Disney Studios, had recommended him to Walt Disney. His first assignment was to compose Cruella de Vil, which Levin composed 3 versions. The final version used in the film was composed of a bluesy number before a meeting with Walt in 45 minutes. The other 2 songs included in the film were Canine Crunchy's Jingle, sung by Lucille Bliss, who voiced Anastasia Tremaine in Disney's 1950 film Cinderella, and Dalmatian Plantation, in which Roger sings only 2 lines at its closure. Levin had also written additional songs that were not included in the film. The first song, Don't Buy a Parrot from a Sailor, a Cockney chant, was meant to be sung by Jasper and Horace at the DeVille mansion. A second song, Cheerio, Goodbye, Toodaloo, Hip Hip, was to be sung by the Dalmatian puppies as they make their way back to London. A third song, titled March of the 101, was meant for the dogs to sing after escaping Cruella by van. Different, longer versions of Canine Crunchy's Jingle and Dalmatian Plantation appear on the Disneyland Records read-along album based on the film. The Sherman Brothers wrote a song titled 101 Dalmatians, but it was not used in the film. The song has been released on other Disney recordings, however. Patch is one of the most prominent of the Dalmatian puppies born to Pongo and Perdita in the 101 Dalmatians franchise. He is a young, scrappy puppy who is named for the large black patch over his right eye. Patch is one of the original 15 puppies. He feels lonely and left out, often at times with his family, thinking he's just one of the famous 101 Dalmatians, and longs for a chance to become separate and leave the shadow of his brothers and sisters. He is a good pup, very adventurous, bold, and strong-minded. Like his siblings, he is responsible and cute, often fantasizing about mauling the villain, Dirty Dawson, from the Thunderbolt television series. He looks up to Thunderbolt and his father as role models, especially after he is rescued by them. When attacked by Jasper and Horace, Patch was the only one of the puppies in attempt to fight back. He also holds a small rivalry with Lucky. He and Lucky are very similar in personality, however there are a few differences. Lucky is confident and arrogant, as opposed to Patch, who is insecure and humble. Lucky is apparently considered the favorite of the pups. This could be part of their rivalry. Despite his sibling rivalry with Lucky, Patch is close to him, as shown when he tries to defend him after Horace forces Lucky to sit down. Patch is shown to be a hardcore Thunderbolt fan, knowing all 72 episodes by heart and the Wonder Dog's wits as well. He even wanted to do Thunderbolt's famous bark, but he had trouble at first as he instead let out a squeaky bark. However, he finally succeeds in doing his idol's bark after he continued practicing it. Appearances: in 101 Dalmatians, Patch is first seen in the film watching television with his brothers and sisters. Patch seems to be addicted to the TV show Thunderbolt and interacts with it. After Patch and his brothers and sisters are put to sleep, they are kidnapped by Jasper and Horace, henchmen to Cruella de Vil, who seeks their skin to create coats. Patch's parents journey to save their puppies, and Patch escapes with the rest. When needing to get past Cruella and her henchmen in order to reach the van that will take them back to London, Patch and his brother Lucky get into an argument and push each other in a fireplace, covering them in soot. This gives their father the idea to disguise themselves as Labradors, which temporarily succeeds, though their cover is blown when dripping icicles and snow piles fall on them, which wash away the soot. They successfully make it into the van and are taken away by it, but not without a violent chase Cruella and her henchmen make after the van, which almost knocks it off the road until both of their vehicles collide with each other and get destroyed. Eventually, the land returns them to London, and Patch is safe at home with his family. Patch is also the titular protagonist in the 2003 sequel 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure. Patch felt that he was lost in a sea of spots, and also feels he isn't one of a kind and just one of part of the 99 puppies. When his siblings were walking to bed after watching Thunderbolt's show, he hears that Thunderbolt is going to be in London and hold auditions for a dog to be a guest star in an episode, and wants to see him at his auditions, but the Radcliffes are moving that day. That night, Patch had a hard time sleeping due to the attic being so crowded. He goes to his father and asks if he is one of a kind or just one of the 99 puppies, but Pongo was asleep dreaming about counting the puppies, so Patch decides to sleep in the empty bag of canine crunchies in the kitchen cupboard. Due to Patch sleeping in the cupboard apart from his family, they all leave the house and the Radcliffes lose track of how many puppies are in the moving van. Therefore, Patch is accidentally left behind. Patch is initially sad, believing that they aren't even going to miss him, but when the Canine Crunchies truck drives by, he remembers the Thunderbolt auditions, so he decides to stay in London, makes his way out of the house by squeezing through the bottom of a slightly opened window, and jumps onto the Canine Crunchies truck, which takes him to the auditions where he meets his hero, Thunderbolt. They spend lots of time acting like heroes around London, which they have lots of fun doing, but when Cruella de Vil returns and captures his 98 siblings, Thunderbolt and himself, he learns Thunderbolt is just a television star, and all the powers and villains on his show were fake. Patch uses his wits and boldness to save his family and defeat Cruella de Vil with the help of Thunderbolt. Cruella is finally caught by police and arrested while Patch reunites with his family and is given the attention he awaited. In the post-credits, Patch is shown to be the new sidekick of Thunderbolt in his show. 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure, is a action-adventure platforming game based on the film of the same name. It was developed by Digital Eclipse Software Incorporated and published by Eidos Interactive for the PlayStation platform. It was released November 20th, 2003, exclusively in North America. Description: You are Patch, one of the famous 101 Dalmatians, and your family has accidentally abandoned you in London during a move to the countryside. Roam through the streets and rooftops of London, as well as the ponds and fields of the surrounding countryside, in your quest to find them. When your brothers and sisters are dog-napped by Cruella de Vil, you team up with Patch's favorite TV star, Thunderbolt, in the effort to rescue them. Gameplay is fairly basic for a 3D platformer. In each of the 29 levels, you collect a set of number of items: bones, sacks, apples, etc. Avoid enemies, cats, squirrels, bobbies, plus Horace and Jasper and Cruella herself, and rescue your siblings. Patch can dig, roll, bark, and jump as he runs through London and the surrounding area. There are some timed bonus rounds, for instance to collect all 60 bones in 45 seconds, every 4 or 5 levels that help give the game more variety. After each bonus level is a cutscene that consists of a handful of still frames from the movie with an accompanying text. Due to these scenes' infrequency, the story can be difficult to understand if the game is not supplemented by watching the movie. The pup I ended up building was Patch, because I like his asymmetrical pattern. I chose to build the play stance because I already have young Simba in the upright sitting position on the shelf. Total build time 3 hours, 25 minutes, 20 seconds, which means you could watch the original 1961 101 Dalmatians at 79 minutes, 101 Dalmatians 2 Patch's London Adventure at 74 minutes, and 52 minutes of the 1996 live action remake 101 Dalmatians. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like, share, subscribe, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes.